Boom, and we are live.
Yes, we are live. Welcome to this Projector Fireside Gatherings. This is number 9. Am I right, Dunstan?
I believe so.
I hope it is. Okay, so for people who are for the first time here, the aim of these conversations is for all of us amazing projectors to learn human design by hearing the fascinating life stories of other projectors. And the one who started this project is Dunstan here. And my name is Raluca. I'm here together also with Pascale, who is our guest today. And the thing is, the three of us just started like working together and testing out things as a team. So it's very exciting for all of us to have this conversation. I'm really looking forward to this interview today. So, did you hear this beep or something?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just take WhatsApp out. Sorry about this.
It's all fine. It's one of those things.
It's one of those things.
I want to just let everyone know that I'm a 3-5 and I've set a challenge to everyone on the team to see who can make the biggest mistake today, this week. And I'm winning because I forgot the call yesterday. But anyway, the point of this call is all about Pascale.
Yes, exactly.
So, Pascale, we're going to introduce you in a moment. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. And I think Raluca's going to say a little bit about you. So let's let her do that.
I have a very fun short bio that Pascale sent. I love your sense of humor, Pascale. So Pascale, from the human design point of view, is 4/6 mental projector, right angle cross of explanation. And she describes herself as being multi-passionate. She's a tech facilitator, podcaster, and film, hair, and makeup artist. Self-declared right-brain geek, she loves all things apps, systems, playing Sherlock, Googling her way out of anything, learning and removing frictions in people's lives, and puns, and GIFs. So it sounds like a special combination of talents and gifts. I wanted to mention for everyone joining that if you hear terms from human design that you don't understand, like right angle cross, whatever profile, don't worry. Dunstan here is the master of explaining things in a way that anybody can understand, which is one of the things I very much like about.
We got a lot of crosses of explanation going on right now. We've got 2 different versions of the right angle cross of explanation, myself and Pascale. So I think there's gonna be a lot of things explained during this.
Awesome.
I don't know what, but I'm sure we'll explain it.
Yes. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to add, because that's the purpose for all of us to learn about human design in a relaxed, fun, interactive way, with the touch of the third line where we can make mistakes and have fun and learn from it. So I'm super excited to start this call. Dunstan, I invite you to start the interview. And I'll be here also taking notes for those who will be watching me like doing stuff here. I'm going to be taking notes so we can timestamp the interview, so it's easier for people watching later to go exactly to a certain topic. Yes, thank you.
So if you check out the description for those links that Raluca is going to work on for us. Thank you so much, Raluca. It's great to have you here. And Pascale, you are a mental projector. And I'm going to ask you, first of all, how are you doing?
Oh, good. A bit excited, like a puppy. I like it. Feels also a bit vulnerable because, usually I'm the one asking the question and interviewing, so that's fun. So yeah, I love being here, but yeah.
Should we start with talking about the aura of the projector? Should we talk about that to start with? Because one of the ways that this can work really well is when whoever's the person that we're putting our focus onto can maybe tell us a little bit about what they know and what they've discovered. And of course, we're all at different stages of this journey, and there's different things that people choose to explore. So if you could share some of the basics of we'll start with your story of how you came to find out that you're a projector, because that's always an interesting one.
So it's quite funny. I stumbled on human design twice. So once, nearly 3 years ago, did my chart, start to read about it, understood nothing, and was like, oh, no, just really like push that aside, forgot about it. And then I'm in another group, Facebook group, where we try to enhance our intuition, because that's been something I've been really keen to develop, really reconnect to my intuition. And during one of our calls, like something similar to what we're doing here, one of the lady dropped that she's discovered a human design, and she started doing readings and all that, and it's amazing, and her whole business has changed. I'm like, oh, that rings a bell. What's that? Few people like me ask her a question, and she decided to make a full live explanation the day after in a Facebook group. And she started to explain about all the types, and finally in a way that I can receive, I can digest. And I'm like, oh, that sounds really interesting. So obviously, go on Google, get my chart, and down the rabbit hole I go, because if I start to like something, I'm going deep, and I'm Google the hell out of everything. I'm gonna really find my way, and yeah, from one ripple bouncing from one thing to the other, find the Facebook group, find out obviously I was projector, made sense with everything I've been struggling with and the thing that worked for me. So the two really worked. Made sense with my 4-6 profile as well. And I was like,
and how was this time scale? When are we talking? Is this recently, or when did this final thing happen?
I think that was like in June.
Okay.
And
so I think you said you're about 3 months into the experiment.
Yeah, late June, I think. So it's been really like a summer of discovery and trying to spend as much time, just anytime I had, I was deep, trying to make sense of all that. Yeah.
And that's really interesting, isn't it? That actually it came to you through your network as a fourth line, that this was, and it also sounds very interesting that the woman who shared this was invited to share by someone.
Yes, she was invited to share. She's not a projector. She's a manager, but she was answering to a prompt.
Responding.
Yeah, to the lady who's hosting the space for that group. So yeah, that was funny. That was
super cool.
Yeah, really good.
And so you mentioned when you first found out you're a projector, you mentioned that you could look back on your life and see some things that had worked and some things that hadn't worked, and you could understand why with some more clarity, knowing you're a projector. Do you have any fun examples for us, or would you like to share a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I've been trying to set up that online business, the tech facilitating, for 3 years. First, because I knew I wanted to start traveling, I wanted to take care of my mum, so I really wanted to have something online. Because film work is complicated and you have to be there, obviously. And I was trying to put stuff out there, and like crickets, like nothing, hilariously nothing.
So let's just get the context. So you were doing film and working. Is it in hair and makeup that you work? Is that one of your talents?
So when you see people blurring the background, looking all period and stuff, that's me and my mates doing that, making sure people give the right information, so you get a feel of the era, get a feel of what's going on. To
sort of set the scene and make the setting. And whereabouts in the world were you doing that? Was that one spot?
London.
You were in London?
I was in London till June. So it was really just doing that and trying to set that stuff online. And
then you were trying to transition to doing an online business to give you some freedom to...
Exactly. And because the film industry is really like high and lows, like in winter it's really quiet, and then it goes mental for summer. And so I wanted something to patch me up over the winter, have a bit more, a relaxed pace of life. So that wasn't really working well, because I was trying too hard to do all the things that I should do. I was not myself. I was sticking to what I think I should be and do, and the way I should speak. So I think it was really not myself in a way. So that wasn't working. On the opposite, in film work, sending CV, that may or may not work depending on how things were working. So it's a bit more blurry. I would need to go back to see when that was working. Every big job I got came from people pushing my name to someone, and that person thinking, oh yes, my gosh, she's so good. So basically, when I arrived in London, I realized there was not certain palettes sold in the UK that I knew were sold in France. So I started importing those palettes, and I picked the colors. So I created colors with the factory saying, oh, I want this color, and we created palettes. And I sold that. And people seen my palettes and decided I was amazing. So they introduced me to their boss and showed them my palettes, saying, oh, we need to order some, and that's Pascale, she's done that. And people being like, oh, that's amazing, let's get you in the team. And that happened quite a few times. So the bigger stuff has always been people being like, yeah, come and work, without seeing my CV, without nearly interviewing me, just deciding before I meet them that was amazing, just because someone introduced me, invite me to come and show my palette.
That's super juicy, isn't it?
It's amazing.
Yeah. And you know what's really, I mean, this is such an interesting time we're in, isn't it? Because, you know, in the old days, like, you know, writing a CV and going through interviews is such an old fashioned way of doing things. You know, this was how we were doing things before the internet existed, writing a covering letter. Now, of course, you know, with the internet, we can send more, you know, we can send our CV and covering letter out to more people, but really, you know, as a projector, this whole thing about sending your CV to fuckloads of people, like Simran, I don't know if you saw Simran's interview, but we interviewed, I think she was the second one. And she had this fascinating experience where she sent thousands of CVs out and got no interviews. And she's really good at what she did. And it's this thing about how initiating does not work for the projector consistently. And being a generator and working hard to, you know, put out your CV doesn't work for the projector. So being invited, waiting does, and super cool as well with you being a fourth line. Is it a good time to talk about the fourth line?
Yeah, there's just one thing I want to talk about.
Go ahead,
CV stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's one time I've been proactive, and that worked, because being socially awkward when I was younger and being really shy actually put me in a projector energy. So there was that one lady I really liked. She was a TV presenter and she was producing as well. Noted she was making a talk in a business panel one day about being a woman in a production company. I went there, wanted to give her my CV to do her makeup, but I didn't want to be Franglish, give her my CV straight away. So I sat right in front of her during the talk and was nodding to her and tried to, you know, interact just visually. And then at the end, I waited because she was talking with some people and I was just on the side and I was waiting with an envelope with my CV. But I waited, and then at some point she looked at me and be like, yeah, can I help you? What do you want? And I started explaining that I was thinking she would have already far too many CVs, but that was mine. I'd love to work with her, and I just didn't want to interrupt her more, but I just wanted to give her my CV. Went, thought nothing of it. A month later, her assistant called me because a usual makeup artist can't do the new work she needs to do because change of lighting, whatnot, blah, blah. She took me on, and I've worked with her for 1.5 years till I moved to London. So I was in Paris before.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's just really, really funny.
So you were doing that way before you even knew there was such a thing as a projector, but you were waiting and she invited you to engage with her.
Yeah, but out of being socially awkward and shy, because I didn't want to disturb her and because I was really scared of intruding. So it's just...
Do you think this is a projector thing of actually having that sensitivity? Do you think it's a projector thing? Because oftentimes I see a lot of people just kind of, you know, like, I mean, there's two things. One is we're very sensitive, and you have 7 open centers, right? So we can feel a lot. So, you know, even having the emotional center can make one very empathic, but having no sacral means we can really feel, the environment around us. And not only that, but we also often projectors have the experience of, you know, when you were a little, imagine like a 5-year-old projector and all the other 5-year-old generators and people are just doing their thing, and you want to go and play the game with the other 5-year-olds. But of course, as a little projector, you've got this little penetrating aura that's like focused and penetrating, and it might be a bit full on for the other kids. And if they didn't invite you to come and play their game, they might be like, oh no, we don't want to play with you, and turn their back. So I just wonder if this is a projector thing about having that sensitivity to not wanting to intrude, or, you know, not wanting to like burst in and like penetrate someone without invitation. So
possibly that would be a good survey to do in the group. I would be really keen to know, because funny you talked about school, because I was kind of bullied at school, and most of my time, you know, in how do you say, when you récréation, you know, when you have that time off during school, break
like
time,
playtime, lunchtime, break time,
I would sit somewhere on my own and just go into my head and dreamland and imagine stuff and make myself stories, because people were not having me. And because in my design, I'm all about the rules and the law and, you know, respecting framework. And in France, it's like a sport to go against it. So people were making fun of me because I was really respectful of the system and everything. I didn't want to change anything or go against the rule. And I would be curious to see how many people in France have, you know, the kind of profile they've got, because there must be lots of, it's like the heretic that goes against the rules. I don't know.
The fifth line, the heretic.
So it's really funny because it feels really French, because I was really bullied for that because I was too respectful. So it's quite
It'd be interesting to look on your chart and see where the fifth lines are. Maybe Raluca could have a little look, and we could have a look at that later. Raluca obviously is a fifth line, the heretic, and I have the fifth line in my unconscious. So I'm a 3-5, but you're a 4-6. So and for anyone, you know, for anyone new to human design, you know, and you of course. The interesting thing with profile and with incarnation cross is it's kind of like chapter 4 or chapter 3, and it's down the track, probably chapter 4. Now, the beautiful thing about human design, as we know, is it's not about a set of rules. It's not about you have to do it in this order. It's not about, you know, it's all about learning to discover your truth inside of you, in the body, in different ways of what is actually true for you. So that goes with learning something. What's the correct order to learn something? So we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but this thing about profile is so clear with you. And the profile, there are 6 different lines, as you know. So 1, 2, 3 is the lower trigram, then 4, 5, 6 is the upper trigram. Let's do it like, how will we do it? Let's try it like, how are we going there? Let me see if I can do this. 1, 2, 3. So first line, second line, third line, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Now there's a harmonic, there's a dynamic between the first line and the fourth line, and the second line and the fifth line, and the third line and the sixth line. And often we hear people describing this as the different levels in a house. And the line is after the gate. So if you look at the human design, I don't know if we can pull the human design, Pascale's human design body graph up on the screen. Maybe Raluca can help us with that.
I think it's better if you share it from the app, because the photo I have is low quality. So we need to figure out how to do this for the future.
We'll figure it out one way or another. Pascale, do you have it handy?
I should have.
I'm going to talk, and if you pull it up while I'm talking, that'd be great. So Pascale is a 4-6. Now what that means is that on the right hand side at the very top of the body graph, we'll see in a moment maybe these two columns, and so she's a 4th line in black, and that's conscious. That's calculated from the time that Pascale was born. And then the unconscious is calculated about a quarter of a year beforehand, and that's in red. So Pascale has the 23 and the 43. So she's got, I think are you 23 or 43 for your sun gate?
Sun gate, top one, I am
I'm going to say 43. I think you're a 40. Either way, so she's got the 43 and the 23 in the conscious. And
I'm
that's
43 in the black, so conscious 43.
43.4. So that means it's the 43rd gate, which is that on the ajna, the 43?
43, yes, it's the one
and this is
at the bottom of the...
okay, so it's on the throat pointing up at the ajna.
Yeah.
Great.
No, it's
so
at the ajna going down.
Oh, the ajna pointing down, right. So it is on the ajna. So this is gate 43. And we're going to talk about the channel 2343, because Pascale and I both have this channel. But for Pascale, it's black in conscious, and for me, it's red in unconscious. So her natural disposition, her inclination, her superpower, one of them, is to have this channel, and it's the channel of structuring. And that's because of the gates, the 23 and the 43. They actually are in opposition, and they go together, and they make the channel of structuring. And the keynote, or the nickname for this channel, is Freak to Genius, because it's all about timing. When timing is correct, people think this person is amazing. They're a genius. When the timing is off, people are like, what on earth are you talking about? You're weird. You're a freak. So,
Yep.
Should I show that one up from my screen? Shall I see if I can pull that one up?
Yeah, I've sent you through WhatsApp.
I just saw it came through. Yeah, I felt it coming, vibration coming through there. So here we are. So here is Pascale's chart, and I wonder if I can go to, okay, so I think that should be saved. Let's see how we can do this. Now, I'm a third line, and of course, learning as we go along and making mistakes and all those kind of things is how the third line rolls. So the invitation is to just be patient for a moment while we figure this out. And we actually have the same incarnation cross as Gary Vaynerchuk. And he always says that quantity over quality, because quantity brings the quality. So doing this again and again, we'll figure it out. We get better and better as we go along. So it's asking me to select a file from the gallery, and I'm wondering in my gallery, WhatsApp should be, here we go, boom.
And human design seems to be about celebrating individuality, so making it organic, and it just makes sense. Just, I don't know. So, yeah.
So we have here Pascale's body graph, and it's nice. It's a nice clear copy. So if we look at the top right, we've got 43 and 23, and that's Pascale's. It's basically her sun and earth in the conscious, and it's the. If we look at the body graph, she has two centers colored in out of the 9, the green one and the brown one, and then she has 7 white centers, and they're undefined. And the reason that those 2 are defined is because of the ajna, which is the green one pointing down, the triangle, connecting to the throat. And her 43 is on the ajna, so it's on the green one, and it's connecting with the 23. And those 2 create that channel, the 23-43. Now, the reason Pascale's a 4-6 is because she has the 4th line there. And if we look across to the left, she has the 4 and the 49, which are both in red. And they are 4.6 and 49.6. So her unconscious profile is the 6th line. Now that's the role model. We talked a little bit about the role model last night in the call that we did. Raluca, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that we had 6-2 was Alison's profile that we had in that last interview. So the 6th line is the role model. However, we always say the conscious one first. So the conscious is what you're aware of. It's like a bridge, whereas it's like a road between the centers. Whereas the unconscious ones are more like a tunnel. We're not so aware that we have them. So 43-23, the freak to genius for Pascale in her conscious. It's 4th line, and that's the opportunist. The opportunist is all about the opportunities that come through the tribe of people, through the network of people, through the people with which you have connections. And it makes so much sense that your opportunities came through these invitations. As a projector, of course, we're here to wait for invitation. that, or that's our strategy, that those connections, those human connections through the people. And it's like that thing about how your network is your net worth.
Yeah, I love this. Really, really resonate with that sentence, because everything that's been either work or self-development has been through meeting people, having people saying things to me or referring resources to me, and yeah, it's been a mad ride, but it's always been fantastic. And every time it was someone I was meeting who was kind of make me see something. So yeah, love that.
It's the human connection. It's that human, you know, it's the connections with people. And the fourth line of all of them, that's the one. So it's really cool to see. And the cool thing with profile is that you don't have to try to do it. There's nothing to do. It's not like you have to try to be a fourth line. No, it's like you're already a fourth line. So you notice that pattern emerging as you go along through life. That's the fourth line.
Even if at first I couldn't really understand it, because I was like, oh no, I've done things myself, and but actually, as you stop fighting against the idea, the meaning and the obvious of it kind of goes up, goes through. You know, I found when I first discovered my profile, some stuff I was really happy about, like being a projector, it was relief. I was like, okay, so I was not mental. I was, you know, everything I was putting out there was a reason. There was crickets, and it was energy. It's not because I'm crap. It's just energy stuff. Okay.
This is such a powerful thing. This is such a powerful thing for a projector to realize, hey, you've been in your not self. You've been trying to initiate. You've been trying to put things out there, and it didn't work. Not because you were doing it badly, but just because that's not how you're designed to work.
Yeah, so and you know, I had like nearly nervous breakdown in a marketing course group I was into.
Wow.
It was like, I can't understand, like I'm doing everything, I've watched all the video, I'm applying all the things.
You're doing everything you're supposed to do,
and
it's not working.
Exactly, and I see everybody else in the group being like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, it's amazing, I've done my launch. And you're like, no, not me, not
So I want to share something with you guys. We're going to have a brief interlude here, and I want to flip my camera around and just show you, because this is a pretty fucking cool thing right here that happens in Bath. What am I doing here? Let me pin my video, because we're getting a delivery of diesel, and I might even take you guys outside and show you that way. So, of course, when you're on a boat, you need fuel. And these guys have this amazing business. You can just see them here. They've come down from like about 20, 30 miles away, and they have this old-fashioned working boat. And it has the coal on the front. It has the diesel. And so they are now going to come and pull up alongside my boat here. And it's like a floating petrol station. So they're going to top me up. So that's pretty damn cool. So I'm just going to check that. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming down. So this is just a little bit of what happens here in Bath on the river, and these guys are super cool. And this is how things were done in the old days.
I love it.
Is it okay to fill up the 3 boats, and then I'll ring you when I've done this call and fix you up? Just right here, and then there's the plastic one and the wide beam as well when you've done Gary. Is that all right? Yeah, so this is Spencer and Victoria. They are legends, and this is a pretty cool job they have here. So they supply so many people. And anyway, so thanks, Spencer. I'll give you a call with a card. Just right here. Yeah, and then the wide beam's right on the back. You know that one. And then Dignity's on the side. I put it on the riverside. Dave's actually on board if you need him to do anything. Is that all right? Brilliant. Much appreciated. So, yeah, if you've got enough. And remember, Dignity, the filler caps, it's the overflow's not quite working. So go steady at the end. It's only a small tank on Dignity. Maybe you haven't. Yeah.
I love
Even if you
both
put
names.
30 litres on, it's all good. So let's get back to human design.
Let's get back on purpose. Let's.
I know, right? We're now on purpose, my boat. So, yeah.
Awesome.
When things happen on the river, they happen. So they've got gas and coal and diesel and anyway.
All the things.
All of the things. Super cool. So yeah, we were talking about the fourth line, weren't we?
Yes.
The network, the people that where the opportunities come from. David Beckham is a famous fourth line that in one of the videos I watched, I think it was Richard Beaumont was talking about David Beckham and how he's an amazing fourth line. All the opportunities come through the network of people. So super cool.
So yeah, there's stuff to do, but yeah, it's really funny when you discover your profile and you're like, okay, this makes sense, this I don't get, and then you're like, oh, actually, now that I don't fight it, yeah, it does make sense as well.
Did you feel some resistance? Did you feel like, I don't want to be a fourth line, or?
It's more the six. I was like, I don't want to wait for that third stage. Like, I want it now.
Right.
Because I really felt like life would only start from 50 years old, and like everything before would be only struggle, which is
Shall I give the breakdown for the sixth line?
Yes.
Yeah. So the sixth line is the role model, and it's almost like it's the sixth line is preparing everybody for the next one to come through, because then it goes back to the first line. Now the role model has this really interesting pattern where for the first 30 years it lives life as a third line. And third line's all about making mistakes, trying what doesn't work, trying loads of things, fucking up, blah, blah, blah. And then from 30 to 50, there's this deep period of inner integration, which happens where the sixth line being then is integrating all of those adventures and misadventures, all the things that were tried out, the mistakes that were made, in order that by the time they're 50, thereabouts, that wisdom is mature and that's ready for them to be invited back down, because they're kind of out on the roof. Mm. So it's almost like their finest work in life happens after 50.
Yeah, but when I first read it, I thought that the really good stuff would happen then and not before. You know, when you're a bit stressed and you're really struggling with this and that. And I was like, oh, no, I want success before. I want this.
You want the success now?
Yeah. It's been tough enough. Now I want to leave.
Right.
And yeah, it's just really like now I'm more at peace because I understand there's more subtlety to that, and I realize things have been really hard because I've arrived in London, for example, without invitation. I moved to London to be with my boyfriend, and I kind of told him I was coming and I was moving in with him.
Right, you initiated it.
Oh, big time. And I actually declared I was coming to live with him during a party with his mates. And they were like, oh, you didn't tell us. He was like, well, it's because I'm learning now. Brutal. So obviously didn't work out too well. So we're good friends now. But yeah, the English chapter has been really tough because I was really not being a projector. I've done everything like the wrong way around. So now I understand.
How old are you now, Pascale?
I'm 42. I'm 42.
Right. So you're halfway through that period, a little bit similar to our call last night. You're in the middle of that with Alison. You're halfway through that period of being on the roof, you've still got a while to go to get to that 50 marker there.
But now I can look back and I see I've learned a lot, and I really feel I'm a different person already. Yes. So if everything goes that same speed, I know there's going to be lots of good stuff coming. So I'm more relaxed about it. But yeah, it's really funny. I feel really grateful because I've been given information that's been, preparing me to be a happier, stronger projector or whatnot, like to avoid the bitterness. I think it's been a long work, like lots of things have happened the last 10 years, and even more the last 3 years, and then everything is speeding up the last 3 months. It's really funny. You know, those things in the fair, you know, when you're on rail and you're in that thing and you're screaming
like
your lungs out.
Like a roller coaster, maybe.
Roller coaster, thank you. I feel the last 3 months I've started going on one. I've got no clue where I'm going. I've got no clue how long it is. I know I'm absolutely safe. I know I've got no control whatsoever. I can enjoy being on there. I can scream my lungs out when it's supposed to be. And I'm just like,
don't
okay,
know
then.
What's coming next.
Exactly. And I don't know if it's like a 30-second roller coaster or a 3-minute one, but I'm like, okay.
And it's kind of going tock, 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 up, getting ready. You don't know how far up.
So, yeah, that's why I'm like.
One of my mentors talks about how life is a single-seater roller coaster ride, and that's how he opens his book. It's like, yeah,
that's how it feels right now.
Yeah.
So things are speeding up, but I still have no clue where I'm going. But I'm on rail. It feels safe, so I'm going through.
Well, I've certainly felt your now the other interesting thing with the 4-6 profile is it's the very last of the right angles. It's a right angle cross, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's getting ready to go into left angle. It's the very last of those. But I've really felt with your 4th line, I've really felt that in the team that there's that kind of capacity to, you know, bring people together and draw the talents from the different groups. And this is a really interesting thing. The ego has to be humble because, you know, oftentimes we want to feel like we've made a difference, right? As projectors. We want to guide, or we want to make a difference, or clarify, or do something. But oftentimes the effect happens through our aura. And it takes a lot of humility to actually realize that, well, I just walked in the room and then things improved, but no one ever gave me any credit, or no one noticed, or I didn't do anything. You know, the generator world is all about doing stuff, but we don't have to do anything. We can just be. And that's something that a lot of projectors have this experience, that no one ever acknowledges or recognizes the difference that they made. You know, they never got that credit, but we don't do it for the credit, right? We're doing it because
it feels good, or it feels good. It feels like the thing to do in some way.
It's our success is the way that we impact others. Success for us is the fact that we were able to guide someone else, but they may not even realize that we guided them.
Yeah, I've been the last few years, I've had a little circle of friends who keep saying, oh, you're so inspiring, or I would love to have a bottle of you so I can just, you know, have a bit of that kick. I'm really resilient. So whenever I meet with them and they're like feeling a bit down, I just give them some, you know, ass kicking, but lovingly. And and they always love it, and they ask for more. So it's really funny because I've got that close circle of friends who really accept me as a projector, and really, but without knowing it, because they're not in that circle. So it's really funny to see the difference, because I've got other people, I love what they do, I find them really funny, but they are really not my people. Like, they never find me funny, they never laugh, they never invite me, and I'm like, okay. And before I would feel really bad, and since I've been a projector, I'm just like, okay.
They're not your people, they're not in your penta, they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there you are in your tribe of people, you got the velvet boxing gloves, and you're like, boom, you know, like, here we go. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
So yeah, it's really funny to see the difference, and it's really relaxing. Knowing that it's just energy. You're not, you know, I used to feel really bad.
Thing, isn't it, to take it personally, to not be invited, to not be recognized, to not be received, but then to say, well, actually, I'm just not, they're not my people, they're not the right ones. So
yeah, it's mechanics.
Right.
It's mechanics. So, you know, I used to cry myself to sleep in my 20s every day. Don't tell my mom, but yeah, I would be because I felt so lonely, so misunderstood, so weird, like I couldn't connect with other people. There was lots of things going on, and I would cry myself to sleep every day. And, you know, being a Scorpio, I was a bit of a drama queen. That's gone better, but it was like everything when I was a teenager. I would write poetry that was all about, you know, death and this and that, and like really dramatic. And I felt really strongly that kind of not being part of something. Now, I've read Brave the Wilderness from Brené Brown, and I don't know if you read it, but she made me cry. I was listening to it as an audiobook walking in Berlin, and I just cried all the way because that was making so much sense, and that was everything I was feeling, that craving to belong to, you know, a group and something. And that's something that it took me a long while to get. I had a network, you know, of people who were recognizing me professionally and all that. I had some really good friends, but I could feel things were disconnected. Like back in France, my network, it was all separate people who were never together. They were really like one by one from different circles.
Yes.
So I didn't feel like I was belonging to anything because everything was so kind of sparse and random. So yeah, it's something that I think discovering I'm a projector, that also gives me a bit more that feeling of belonging, because, you know, there are lots of us, and it feels like, okay, we are, even though we're totally different and we have totally different view, at least energetically, there's a bond of us entering the world in the same way, and that feels really good.
There's definitely something about being a projector that is a kind of, if you are not a projector, you could kind of try to understand it, but being a projector, there's like a sort of a common ground of things that we sort of just understand, we just get, and we don't have to explain ourselves, and we can just, it's like, so, you know, one example would be someone says, you know, they've got no will center defined, or no motors, or, you know, and then they just say, oh, you know what, the energy's not there for this today, can we do it, maybe we'll do it another day, and everybody understands. And that's such a beautiful thing, because in a generator world, you know, it's like, what's wrong with you, you know, you've got life force, you know, why aren't you showing up, why aren't you, you know, what's wrong with you? You know, when we're projectors, it's inconsistent. Some days we've got energy, some days we don't.
So many times I could have won the Olympics if napping was an Olympic sport. And honestly, I'm really good at it. I can like lie down 30 seconds, I feel better. Usually it's 3 minutes. 3 minutes is a good time for me. So many people have made fun of me because I was napping. But I'm like, yeah, but I can't function. And lots of people say, oh, but I'm tired as well. I'm like, are you actually thinking about putting your left foot and your right foot in front of each other as you walk at work? Because that's the state I'm at. I can't remember how to walk. I need to be conscious of moving my body. That's how tired I am. And they were looking at me like I was, what?
Yep. Let's pull your chart up again, and let's break this down a little bit, because the experience of being a mental projector is very interesting. Because can you see the video there? Is it coming through? Is it coming through? Yeah.
We see the screen.
Right. So we can see that Pascale's a mental projector. She's got the throat and the ajna, as we said, and nothing below the throat is defined. So, you know, the four centers at the bottom right, those are the motors. So myself and Raluca are both energy projectors, because we have some motors defined. However, you have none. And not only that, but you don't either have the spleen, which is on the left, and you don't also have the diamond, which is just below the throat, which is the G center. So basically it means that there's, you know, and it doesn't mean that, I want to clarify this one, because some people say, oh, you're a projector, you should never have any energy. It's not true at all, because sometimes we can have more energy. It can be amplified, because the white centers are like yin, and they amplify the defined energy of the generator in the sacral, or whichever centers the other person has. It gets amplified. So we can have more energy sometimes. It's just not consistent. And that's the thing. And if you know, I used to in my 20s be very strongly identified with being the life and soul of the party, and being the guy that had all the energy and was here, there, and everywhere, doing everything, and being and having a great and of course when that was in my mind, I thought that was great, but when I had no energy, and it was horrible. So, you know, as a projector, it's just not personal. It's like sometimes we're on fire, sometimes we've got nothing, and we don't even know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
I napped once vertical on set because I was so tired. I actually fall asleep standing. And
wow, you just had to sleep at that time.
Yeah. And a friend noticed, and he was like, Pascale, are you falling asleep? And I was like, no, I'm having a power nap, so fine. And they were like, I can't believe you're actually standing on set and you're actually sleeping. I was like, well, it's just, you know, it's a micro one, it's just seconds, just let it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't, I was so, it was such a full-on job, and it was really physical. There was lots of mud on set, so just walking was not, you know, it was actually a workout. And I was exhausted. So yeah, at some point I just went like this and standing and slept. So yeah, that's why I'm really careful now. And sometimes if I need to have a nap, because I can do those really quick naps, I would go like 2 or 3 times a day in the loo just to nap. Like I put my alarm on my phone for 45 seconds or whatnot, and I just nap like this.
So you can do these, like, for you it sounds like even like a minute or something like that will recharge you. And you mentioned that you had a boss once that supported you in this, who was also a projector.
I have no clue, but that was before getting into film. I was a PA in an office, and it was open space, lots of anger, because lots
like
of
an open plan office where you can everything.
Open plan office, and there was lots of things that were dysfunctional. So lots of people were nappy. So I think I was also taking that on.
Right,
and
you're picking it all up.
And it was 9 to 5, long commute. I was drained. So I had to have my nap every lunchtime. And she was really good. She could see how much perked up I was just after my nap. The day I could sleep and the day I couldn't, she could see the difference in my productivity. So I would just put my head on my desk, sleep for 3 minutes. And whenever someone was coming to ask me questions, she was making signs to go grab coffee. And they would
come back.
Because, we had the coffee machine behind us, and they would come back, and I would be awake. And she really was kind of guarding my nap, which was amazing. Because she could see that it was only 3 minutes, and it was doing me a lot of good. So for her, it was better to have me nap, because she could see that in the afternoons I was on. Instead of,
can you feel that just now? There's this like wave of like relief coming. There's this like feeling in my body just now of like, there's like it's okay. It's really beautiful.
It was a beautiful thing to feel guarded and safe. That sense of safety. I think maybe that was why I could sleep as well, with an open spleen.
Yes. Yeah, I wonder if she had the defined spleen, because the defined spleen is all about being able to sense the safety and danger. And people with an undefined spleen often feel safe around the person with the spleen, because the spleen is kind of guarding and protecting, and it's like, right, there's a danger, wake up, or no, you're okay, you can go to sleep. It's that kind of primitive survival instinct, which you know, people with undefined spleen can really appreciate that defined spleen in the others.
So possibly. So I might try to contact her, because that was, gosh, it was nearly 20 years ago now. So
wow.
But that was before getting into makeup. So that was a long time. But I remember that, like, really with lots of gratitude for those moments.
That's a memory that really makes sense, isn't it, when you look back?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Cool. I love how we've got some examples there of like you looking back on your life and saying, well, now I understand why that worked. Now I understand why that did not work. You know, it makes sense. So, and then of course we've got everything ahead to keep on the experiment and try to try what, feel how it can make sense. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I like it as well, because now I can actively test stuff, and I feel, before I felt a bit victim. I feel I was, things were done to me, and now I'm more aware of the mechanics. So sometimes I just laugh, like I can be with some people interacting, and then I can see that I'm missing, you know, they're not seeing me. So I can just let them talk and observe and take what I need from the conversation. But instead of feeling bitter, I just laugh inside, because it's like a game. It's like rolling the dice. I'm like, okay, let's see today.
Yep, no dice on this one. Just wait, roll the dice again.
Yeah. Pass your turn. Wait for the next one. So it feels more playful now, and I think that's where I've been really lucky as well. Because when I read people experience, it feels there's more hurt and bitterness discovering the projector personality, and they really rebel against the waiting. And I think I've been really lucky.
If we were in a room, we could say, please put your hand up if you ever wished you're a manifester, that you could initiate things. Please put your hand up if you wish that you were a generator that had that sacral life force, you know. And I would say it'd be very rare to find a projector that never had wished that they were something else.
Exactly. But I'm really grateful in the sense that I've stumbled on someone who really focused on being yourself, and being in the joy, and just focus on the activity that brings you joy. So for me, because I had a solution, I had something to do, even if it was actually napping and have a laugh and all that, that really gave me my sparks back. I think for a long time, everything I could see was struggle, and everything was, you know, crickets and things being hard, because I was going against the grind of.
Can you tell us a little more about the crickets thing? Not sure I have the context for the crickets.
Well, for example, I would create posts on Instagram or Facebook, and nothing would happen. I would launch webinars after people ask in groups like, I want to learn about this and that, and I would be like, actually, I've got a webinar coming. Here is the link. And no one would go on. The number of time I've done things that I could see people were looking for, so I deliver what I think is needed, and people don't click, people don't come, so there's that thing that was building up, because I was not in my joy. I was just stressed and trying to deliver, trying too hard to find that. So, you know,
I mean, the projector aura is focused and penetrating, isn't it? So if that's a bitterness in that, I mean, I never thought about it like this before, but if you're bitter in your being, and then you're you're focused and you're penetrating, and you're coming at people with this bitterness, we can understand why other people might kind of turn their back or ignore us or walk away, right?
And being angry and trying to fix things, and so everything started to click when she said, you know, you need to rest and all that. And I know I've heard her name in some groups and saying, oh no, you shouldn't listen to her because she said stuff that are not right. But for me, a key knowledge I was able to grab has been super useful.
About Karen Curry?
No, Katie Fees.
Okay, not someone I'm familiar with.
And she's really all like sparkle and unicorns and stuff, and some people I say, oh yeah, but she says stuff that are really not right. So I'm taking things, you know, with
this is so important though, isn't it, with someone coming into human design, that they may have, because there are a lot of people who aren't like pure human design, but they've taken something from human design and they've reached a whole load of people with it. And I think it really honors the intelligence of the audience, that people will find out their own truth for themselves. So, you know, there are many people who will say, oh, that person's not, you know, they say there's 5 types and there's only 4 types, therefore, you know, so there are purists in our community, and they're very, very useful for getting very clear information from the source. And then there's also people who are, you know, doing their version of human design. I think it's just important to know, you know, for example, me, I like to be as true to the source as possible, but I'm not qualified or accredited. I'm just a passionate enthusiast who likes to learn it, you know. So I think it's good to ask people and to be honest with each other about where we're at in our journey with that.
Yeah, and I think everybody bringing their own conditioning, depending what you've been living, you know, someone saying one thing can unlock something that's going to go totally invisible or not relatable for many people. But it's just that one thing for me has been really making me look at how I've been. And I understand how people were not seeing me or relate to me because I was really not myself. You know, when I was a kid, I was always a clown. And I stopped doing it because I imagine being a teenager and hormones and being with people too much. At some point, I really got really beaten, really sad and angry at the world and all of that. And when you realize, you're like, gosh, but there's actually something I can do to get out of that. And of course, I want the success, I want the recognition and this and that. So I need the others to give me that, but I can give myself, I can nourish myself first. So I can rest, I can make sure I do things that makes me laugh, I can do things that, you know, nourish my creativity, and that I've got action, and that I don't need invitation.
That's up to you, isn't it?
Yeah, and that came at a time where I was helping a friend. She's a single mom, and she needed help with the kids. So I've been babysitting two girls who were 7 and 9 years old. So for me to get back into that playfulness that I'd totally forgotten, that was also a magnificent synchronicity for me, because that really helped me recognize to, you know, what it is to have fresh eyes on things and to rest and to just forget about work and the world and just go in the park and run in the greenery and, you know, go down the toboggan and all that. And it's been, I
really enjoyed something that you shared about the quality of waiting and waiting from a place of feeling good rather than bitter. And when you first shared it with me, I really felt it in my body. I really felt something, and it was really felt how, as a mental projector, because even within projectors, right, a lot of projectors like, oh, I'm a mental projector, I don't even have a motor, and then there's this kind of woe is me, I'm a mental projector. And when you were describing it, I felt this sense of, like, you know, just learning to be in the pleasure in the body, in the satisfaction in the body.
Yeah.
You've got all those open centers, right?
Yeah, and it's really, because I said in my intro, I love to play Sherlock, and it's really that. So when I learned from Katie that you need to wait out loud and you need to be in your joy and all of that, I was really at some point like, oh, damn, how do I get joyful? I'm so stressed, I can't even remember really. And I've been, you know, playing Sherlock in the time. I've started creating my user manual with like logging the stuff that feels good and all that. Okay. But I really tried to focus even more. So I thought, okay, observe what's going on. How do you feel? What is your body telling you when you feel down, and what is your body telling you when you feel excited and all that, and trying to work on my intuition as well with this group for the last year really helped me try to focus inward in my body. So because I'm out, I'm my authorities sounding board, that's the one thing I really struggle still, because I hate asking and I hate intruding. So for me, going to people asking to talk out problems is still something I struggle with. So I've really tried to work on my intuition and really be even more independent and autonomous before knowing I had a sounding board. It was already something there. So by trying to find clues in myself and trying to sort how I was feeling and how I could calm myself. So I've been learning how to meditate and checking with my body how it felt.
So it's looking in the body rather than in the mind.
Yeah. And that's something, that's another beautiful connection I've made years ago with Barry Tesler. She's a financial coach. She's written a book, it's The Art of Money, and she's got a course that's long, and it's all about befriending your money, because we all have money stories and resistance to earning or to spending. There's all sorts of relationship with money, and one of the tool is a somatic tool. So it's really having a body check-in before you start working with money. So before you start trying to do your accounting, you check with yourself, how do I feel? So that connection to the body started years ago when I started taking her course, because it's something I was never doing before. I was resisting.
So what's it like for you as a mental projector when you do that check-in into the body? Because like you have all the centers below the throat undefined. So you go in, you're going to do a money course or whatever, but you go in. How does it feel? Can you describe it?
So it's really trying to scan. So usually, I don't know how other people do it, but I focus first on feeling the air coming in and out, because that's kind of the easiest, because you're acting and there's an action there. And then I try to follow the road of the air, so I can feel in my lungs. So for now, when I take decision, I took it out of something and I can feel there's more air coming. I feel like, same when I'm excited, I'm really joyful. I can feel I'm all myself better. I can feel I'm taking more space. So it's that kind of thing. When I'm really anxious, I can feel knots in my tummy, and so I'm trying to think, okay, oh yeah, you're going like this, so that's not good. So you take a deep breath and you try to stretch and breathe, and it's something I've been trying to do in my work as well. I try to always make people take a deep breath, because I realize quite often we are in a hurry, and I speak fast when I forget myself. So just by taking a deep breath, I'm allowing myself to have more room and more space, and to stop that pressure of being fast and deliver and and it's really giving myself that space of time and the presence. That's been really, really useful for me. And I'm just grateful for all the people who've been giving me like one little cog, one after another, because that's been making so much difference. I don't cry myself to sleep now.
That's nice. Good for you.
It's good. So
that's progress for sure.
Yeah. I just laugh much more on my own even. So it's just it's like a discussion with your body, and you really just check, okay, what's going on there, and you just start by one thing, then go somewhere else. But for me, the main place is where I can feel things. It's always knots in the stomach. It's also sometimes in my hands. I can feel if I'm too tight, or I've got like tingling in my hands. So I know that's I've got not too much energy, but there's something I need to kind of burn. So yeah, it's interesting to make notes, just like log everything that's happening.
Cool. So we could maybe dip into a little bit more about your authority as the sounding board. Lucas just posted in there if anyone has any particular questions. So anyone watching live, if anyone has any questions, they can type them in the comments section in the chat. And also, there we go. Also, if anyone watching this on the replay has questions, then we can go through and we can answer. We can talk about anything really. But I feel with human design, we always say it comes right back to strategy and authority. And we've talked a lot about waiting for the invitation. Now, sometimes when you get your body graph, it'll if someone's a mental projector, it'll say no inner authority. But then we discover it's the mental projector has the sounding board. Now, one interesting thing is that both of the sounding board, they're process-based authorities, right? So it's like there's not that instant knowing. I'm splenic, so I'm yes, no. I know straight away. And Raluca's emotional, so she has the process of waiting for the emotional wave to land and settle and getting information, no truth in the now. So I quite like when I heard the mental projector thing being described as a process-based authority, that it's all about talking with different people over a period of time, not because you want their advice, but because you want to, it's like you feel the resonance as the words come out of your being. And it's not you talking out of your mind, it's you talking about talking with that connection to the body. And then someone might say, you know, good feedback might be, you know, when you said that thing about how you really can do well with other people, I really felt you. Really felt something in that. And when you were talking about this and that and the other, it was kind of, I didn't feel it didn't resonate as much. And you may have talked for half an hour and spent, you know, 95% of the time talking about this and that and the other, but then they heard, when she talked about that, I felt something.
And sometimes it's them asking a question. Because that's something same, looking back, I realize I've done that a lot, like talking to people, I think, can I ask you something? I really need to, I can't decide on this. And we talk, and before they ask me a question, I answer. And then before they say their actual advice, I'm like, thank you so much. And they look at me like, okay, I haven't done much.
The aura at work, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, I know now. Like, I know.
Right.
And it's, you know, in cartoons, when you've got that light bulb with a little light bulb moment, it really does feel like it. Yeah, exactly. You're like, it's clear. And I don't know how to explain it in the body, but there's that clarity of, that's it. But I find it really hard to do it day to day now. And maybe because I've got so many decisions to take this year, it's been really like decisions. So I find it really hard to always call people or be like, do you have a moment? I just need to talk. I don't need your advice, but just hear me.
Do you find you have like a number of people, like how do you line up those people that you want to soundboard with? Because you don't really need them to say anything. You just want them to listen to you, right?
Well, I used to go for walks with my friend Angela, and she's a reflector, I've discovered. And we used to live together, and at some point we were flatmates. And we work so well together. And it's funny because by accident, I gave her quite a few times advice on waiting to see if that would...
Wow. Yeah.
And I didn't know. And she's always really good at asking questions or
because
challenging.
Because of course the reflector needs to wait for a 28-day cycle, right? So you telling her, advising her to wait is good advice.
And it was really funny. And looking back, and she was really good at challenging what I thought was the one way. So I think my head being open and asking silly questions, quite often she would be, but do you really think it's necessary? Like she was actually challenging my close defined point of view, but in a really calm, grounded way. And she really, it was really not aggressive. It was really, do you really think there's something there you could see differently?
You've talked about questions twice now, haven't you? It's like the projector's best friend is the question, you know, being asked a question or asking someone else a question. It's very powerful.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's power there that I haven't totally harnessed. But yeah, it seems that it's a big key of things. But so yeah, I used to go see Angela, and she's really busy now, so I haven't been able to talk with her as much. I've got a few friends. I've been doing that anyway. We jump on Skype and have like virtual tea, so that's good as well. But yeah, because I've been nomad, it's really like a different pace. I don't have the same in-person connections. So I'm adapting. I'm going with the flow. It's all part of the experiment, I feel, being out of my normal routine. So yeah, that's how I've been growing, I think, because I've been nomad for the last 3 years.
And do just with this thing with the sounding board, do you feel like other projectors get it a bit easier, and do you find mental projectors are better to soundboard with, or have you found any patterns in that? Like, who's your ideal?
Not yet. Not yet, but I'm in a Facebook group of mental projectors, and they've got like a Voxer thing, which is an app where apparently you can interact with people send message and then people answer back or give you, you know, questions, and then you can voice again, and then you can listen to what you said. And they're all like raving about it. So as soon as I've got my German number, I'll try that. It's really something I'm keen to practice, because I'm really trying to find ways that are manageable in the day-to-day.
To make those decisions, right? You need to make a certain amount of decisions, like in life.
Yeah. So that's what I've started doing, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, is using tarot card. So they're not giving me answers, but I use them to ask myself questions. So I ask, okay, I need some information. What should I focus on? What should I think of today? So I pull cards, and then I'm like, okay, so what are you trying to tell me? Should I look into this? And then I kind of voice out what comes to my head, bouncing off that information. So sometimes it works. Sometimes I'm like, no. So yeah, I'm just trying things. I like trying things. So it's I'm keen to hear of anyone who's a mental projector who stumbled on this video on the replay or wherever, whenever, and chat more, because that's I found is a bit of a challenge. That's something that's because it's so interactive. As you say, like things change depending who you talk to and how you enter it. And I don't know how much I need to guide. Again, too much in the head, probably.
Well, it does sound like it's something that, I mean, it sounds like it's something that you're going to research more, that you're going to get more into, that you're going to discover more. And what I've heard is that it's good to talk to a range of different people and just get that feedback.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I've popped your chart up again. Is there anything else in your chart that you wanted to either tell us about or ask us about?
Well, I've got those two pressure centers who are absolutely open without a gate. And I really appreciated when you draw attention to this to me earlier when we talked privately, because when you say, oh, be careful, there's lots of pressure possibly there. And looking back, I was like, oh God, now I understand. Like sometimes I can feel myself trying to go faster. And I'm like, no, open route, no, don't go there, deep breath.
So let's talk about these pressure centers, because it's interesting. Like, you know, stress is perceived as a bad thing, but stress can also be a good thing, right? Stress can make us stronger. Now, what's interesting in your body graph, which kind of leapt out at me to start with, is, you know, we can see you've got that one channel, and then we see other patterns, and you just look at the colors and you say, okay, look, you've actually got all the gates on your ajna, the green center, defined. So you've got all three unconscious gates. Like, I've never seen anyone with their ajna totally defined like that. And then we look and we see, okay, the head at the very top has no gates defined. It's totally white. And then we look at the, you know, over on the right side is some unconscious definition. You've got two gates on your emotional center, one gate on the will center, but that's all red over on that side. And then you sort of start to see, okay, and then sort of over on the left, there's like some gates that are red and black. And then kind of in the middle, there's some gates that are black. And you can start to kind of look at where the areas of conscious and unconscious definition are. Of course, the black being conscious, the red being unconscious. And then we see your root has not a single gate activation. And the head as well.
So the two pressure center being totally open like this, I can understand why I've been really asking myself all the wrong questions. Like sometimes I complicate stuff.
So let's just get clear on what those two pressure centers are doing, right? So the pressure comes in at the top and the bottom. It's like if you imagine a hand at the top and a hand at the bottom pushing pressure into the body graph. Now, collectively, we all have all parts of the body graph, and we all have everything either defined or undefined. So now what happens is the pressure from the root then goes up into the next three centers, the spleen on the left, the sacral on the middle, and the emotional on the right, and it works its way up eventually towards the throat. But interestingly, these two pressure centers, the head at the top and the root at the bottom, are the only two centers in the body graph that do not have a direct connection with the throat. So that energy from the root has to go through some other center to get to the throat. The same with the energy from the head has to go through the ajna to get to the throat. Now, it's all about in the throat, then the manifestation happens. Now, you know, it's like in the beginning was the word, and the word made shit happen. You know, it's like this energy is going through to the throat. Now, so pressure isn't a bad thing. However, when we have the centers undefined, and in your case more so, you have them totally open, it's very important to be aware of how you're responding to pressure. And the bottom one is the pressure to do stuff, to take action. And the top one is the pressure to think. So that the not self question on the root for everyone who has it undefined is, where am I in a hurry to where am I in a hurry to be free of the pressure? Where am I doing stuff to be free of the pressure? Now, a little bit of pressure is not a bad thing. So, you know, if we're working together, you and I have it defined, you have it undefined. So if you know, that pressure to get things done or to take action, you know, you can enjoy that. That can be a motor that you can amplify that energy. The key is whether you're in a state of fear or you know, just trying to do stuff to make the pressure go away, which it never goes away.
Yeah, that's why having had that kind of light put on that center, now I really try to stop and regularly through my day and trying to think, oh, okay, how am I feeling that pressure? Am I just excited to finish it because I know someone's going to enjoy it, or is it just pure pressure and stress? And it's really interesting. That feeling
of pleasure, doesn't it, in the body?
Yeah.
Like, is this pleasurable? Does this feel good in the body?
That's really, and for me, the playfulness start to be as well an element of my compass to know if things are going well or not. Really, if I can be in that energy of joy and play and observing how things unfold, things are fine. If I feel I'm being squeezed, then it's not good. And that's not playful, and I can really feel the pressure in a really different way instead
of being squashing the joy out of you, squashing the fun out of it. Like, I can feel that. Yeah,
crushed, you know, and not crush it from Gary Vee, but really like. So it's really there's the playfulness that makes me. It's really feeling, you know, squeeze, you know, like you're in the lift and you're in a small lift and you've got two massive blokes who enter and you feel really squeezed in and you're like, that doesn't feel good. That's exactly how sometimes it feels when I take on too much pressure for myself. So now I've got those kind of things I can navigate between. That's good. And I can see Tom is in the house and he's saying tarot sounds like a great sounding board. It's been working for me, but when I ask in the group, what do you think of that? Lots of people have said, oh, you shouldn't ask cards. That's not an actual good interaction. You need to, you can't get answers from cards, but I'm not sure if I explain how I'm using it as a way of asking myself questions. So work in progress. I can't vouch for it.
I would like to, in the interest of hygiene, I would like to say that the tarot is not a sounding board. However, it is. There are many ways to gain information. So I've never talked about this before, but I use a divination tool called the Obi. And
I don't know.
This is a series of. I can show you one of the shells if you like. It's a series of 4 cowrie shells, which is made from a shell. There's 2 masculine ones, 2 feminine ones, which is connected with a piece of coconut. So this is a feminine one. So on the one hand, it's got the coconut shell, and on the other side, it has this this thing here. Yeah, Tom, exactly. Like, so I used to use the I Ching, which was one of my mentors, who's also a projector, shared with me. It's a series of the Obi. You can use just 3 coins with head or tails, or there's more, you know, and you're basically you're using your auric field. You do a consecration process. This is the masculine one, and there's 2 of each, and you cast them, and it's either dark or light. And then so you ask a question, and depending on how the cast falls, you ask clear questions, and it gives you an answer. So, you know, it's like your aura is basically imprinting these 4 stones, and it's so this is another way of making decisions. Now, this is nothing to do with human design per se, but it's certainly something that I use, and I'm sure the purists wouldn't like it, but I find it very useful. And what I find fascinating is that when I'm not clear in myself and it's unsettled, I always get really indecisive answers. It's like the Obi says to me, yeah, but maybe not, or no, but it might change. Whereas when I'm really clear, is this a good idea? Boom, boom, boom. Yes. Boom, boom, boom. No. And so it's a process of, it's more information to help make good decisions. And of course, you know, life is about good decisions. And what's fascinating to me is, like, you know, we go on this journey, and it's all about finding what's true and making these, but you know, now I'm in another group, which is an Airbnb hosting group. Now, how do people make decisions? How do people know what's right for them? They have no clue. They just post in the group and say, well, this happens. The guest asked for a late checkout. What should I do? And then 100 people give their different opinions. And it's really important to remember, even by the fact that we are attempting to tap into our inner authority, there is a certain amount of sovereignty that goes with that. Because it's actually saying, you know, the truth of what's in you.
And I just had like a thing talking about it. So yeah, I don't use the car to take decisions. I use them as an awareness tool. So to help me think and check with myself, I've seen all the aspects of something. I'm not using them to decide. I'm using them to scan elements before I take my decision.
Tom's feeling you. Tom's saying to make some comments on here, and he's feeling you for sure. So and,
yeah, it's just came now.
Like information, right? And as projectors, we need to read the energy. We can't just bulldoze our way through life. But all types can do with learning about the energy. So,
Linda's there, and she's an MP as well.
Right. It's all about reading the energy and whatever tools we can use that work.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be lots of practicing, because as you said, I've got a hunch that depending who you are soundboarding with and the way you do it, there must be different level of clarity and juiciness in it. I'm just really excited that I found it's an awareness tool, the tarot card. Yay! So proof in the pudding, that was a live sounding board moment.
So you got some clarity just then.
Yes.
Awesome. So Linda's made a little comment there about no one wants to listen to your stream of thoughts incessantly. I didn't quite catch the full comment, but one thing I will say with the sounding board is that it's not just about talking. It's not just about the other person listens and you just talk for 3 hours. It's actually about helping to get clarity on a specific decision. So, for example, when is the right time for me to go to Berlin? And then you talk with people, and it's like, it's not just about talking for the sake of talking. And of course, it can feel very good to be heard. However, the sounding board is very specifically around making decisions and gaining clarity in something specific. So there is a kind of a focus to it. So that's, and I would say, yes, Linda, you know, it's like not everyone, you know, it's like not everyone's going to be a good person to soundboard with, right? But I think there was a bit of an invitation from Pascale to you know, but you know, it's like a a little invitation, then we, as projectors, we invite each other a little closer. We do that little dance, a little closer, a little closer. You know, it's like dating again. We're not trying to go straight away, get married. We're like, okay, let's have a little bit of invitation, try it out. How does it work? You know, gently to start with. So yeah.
And I'm really keen in, you know, other MPs, if you want to try and test things, happy to be soundboarding and to try as well with people. I'm happy to try with other people as well. I'm just really.
So how should people contact? How should we? We'll hook you up somehow in the video, yeah, so people can contact you if they want to.
Well, in the group, obviously, you can search for my name and then find me easily. And I do check all my message requests, so I'll find you if you message me there.
Cool.
Otherwise, anywhere on all social, I'm Right Brain Geek, so you can find me there.
Right. So I've got you on. We just connected on Instagram, and you're Right Brain Geek on there.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Right Brain Geek. Yeah.
Yes. So easy there, because I really feel that it's an art, not an art, but you know, it's like you said, you know, it's instant in the body. It's kind of a switch on, switch off feeling for you, and it's maybe not harder, but maybe more confusing.
As a splenic authority.
And splenic authority, and for Raluca, it's really the way. So it takes more time, and it takes more introspection to feel it and understand it, and kind of find your framework of what's good and when the wave is, and all of that. And as an MP, I can't imagine what it is to be on that wave and to ride it. So, you know, props to you, because
I'm still figuring out. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Because I'm not digging the sounding board authority, to be honest, for now. That's the one point in my profile. I'm like, oh, really? But I'm kind of glad I don't have the emotional one, because it sounds so confusing for me with how I'm wired.
Because it's always very easy to have either, you know, jealousy or, oh, I'm glad I don't have that one. And really, we've got to remember that everyone's design is perfect for them, right?
Exactly. I'm sure I would be wired differently if I had emotional authority. But I'm just, I just know that I've pulled the straw that I need to have. So I'm dealing with it. But yeah, I do feel that there's something, because we're so mental, we're so in our head easily. I know that it must be more simple than I make it, but at the same time, our strength is our difficulty. So there is a way for sure to do the sounding board properly, or to have the full strength of it, but it's how to get to the truth of it without putting, you know, the pressure of the open head questions and complicated.
I get a sense that you're going to look back on this in a year, in 2 years, and you're going to have a lot of clarity about it. And
you know, I'm sure.
It's all about patience, and some things, they come when they come. And, you know, Laurel did her interview like maybe a month ago. And, you know, she said to me a few times in comments, like, Dunstan, I already feel different to how I felt when we did that interview. So,
I'm sure. I'm sure. So I know it's just about testing, playing, logging what's working, what's not.
And this is so much, for me personally, what I find inspiring is when people are jumping into the experiment with curiosity and openness and commitment to trying it out. And that, for me personally, I find that way more inspiring than someone who knows all the answers.
And
who can tell me how it should be.
Why wouldn't you jump? Well, for me, it's easy to be curious and to want to jump, like totally, because I've been trying my way for 42 years, and lots of stuff didn't work out. So when I look back, the stuff that did work out, and they did work out really, really well when they worked out, it was because I was following, you know, my profile, my strategy. So if I manage to get my authority, then amazing, you know, I know it's going to work. And I know that if I really dive in, there's only good stuff that can come. And I know I've talked with other people, and they say, you know, it's not all like fluffy stuff, and it can be really hard. And I'm aware, I'm fine, I'm resilient, like bring it on, one day at a time, we'll sort it out. But I can't see the negative of actually being given a tool and not use it, when you know that there's all the chances that it will be good for you. So Linda is writing to the listener during sounding board, say you need to do this and only this, versus, well, here are a whole range of things you might not have considered is better.
So you're just reading the comment from Linda there.
Yeah. So if the listener during soundboarding says you need to do this and only this, versus, well, here are a whole range of things you might not have considered that would be better. To this one? Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so when the thing with soundboarding is not that the other person is supposed to give you advice. It's not that the other person is supposed to tell you what to do or give you suggestions or advice. The listener, so if you are say Pascale, right now you're the mental projector, you're sharing about something, and the listener is the person who is your sounding board. It's like, think about what a sounding board is. It's like you speak and then it resonates, and the sounding board will kind of resonate with the frequency of truth. But it's not, because you see, it's very easy for you to talk about something from out of your mind, and then the other person to talk about something and then give you some advice from out of their mind, and that's just a game of mental tennis. Yeah. Which has very limited value. Maybe in the kind of the Matrix, in the Muggle world, that's kind of how people do things. The whole point of human design is we're coming out of the mind into the body, and that's not the full story, because of course we're using the mind and the centers there, but it's basically about coming to a place of feeling a deeper truth, and truth has a resonance. Now, the thing with the G projector, like we did Ron's interview, is the self-projected projector, when they talk, they can hear the resonance of truth in their body. The thing with the mental projector is you may be able to hear, as the words come out of your mouth, you may hear, oh yeah, that resonates. But then on the other side of it, it's like you can value that feedback from the other people, but you're not looking for them to analyze. You're not looking for the suggestions. You're not looking for comments. All you're looking for is, can they help you to find the resonance of truth? Super simple, super simple. And your part when you're soundboarding is to speak from the body, not to just share brain farts or ideas or mentalism, to actually speak from what's in the body, from what you are feeling while you talk about it. So it drops down the tempo. It's not about like blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, yeah, well, I'm thinking about doing this. I'm wondering about this thing, that thing and the other thing. So it's a very different thing. So it will be fun to hear from other projectors. I think Cheryl and Yvonne are in the group who have some more experience with the soundboarding. And yeah, it's obviously a work in progress that we can find out more about it. But I did want to ask you about, if you're willing to share, what it is that you feel is your superpower, your talent that you have, and how you can help other people with that.
So there's two things to that. First, I Google like a goddess.
Of course.
And I always thought that it was normal and everybody was doing it. And then I've realized, no, I'm just really stubborn. So I keep searching till I get it. So there's one thing I haven't been to Google yet, and it's one of the variables. Mine is smell, one of the color thingy magic. And I know I will learn that later if I've got a reading about variables, and I'm not really fussed about having the answer. What really does my head in is that I can't Google it. I haven't found the right way to Google it. So I'm really, really stubborn. And so I can do that. And I love learning apps and connect, like what connects, which bring us to the second point, is that I've got an obsession about being a bridge and making things kind of flow and united. And because I love the apps and I love internet, that's what I always notice. Whatever is broken, wherever there's a leak, so something, you know, a link that doesn't work, a link that's not clickable, I keep noticing that. And because I don't like asking, or I love stalking people before I talk to them. That sounds really bad, but I really love the internet for that. I can get a vibe of people. So if I start to gel with someone in a Facebook group, I'm going to check their profile, and then I'm going to do my Sherlock bits, find their page and go there and check, and go to their website and check their social media and start to interact and check their vibe. And that's how I start to really get the vibe of it.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So I love that, the fact that I can follow breadcrumbs and I get to know people by this, following this. And I get really frustrating regularly because there are breadcrumbs missing. And,
right.
you know,
so I could share like an example of this where, you know, the thing is, if I'm just kind of framing this up, like if someone, chances are, if you've interacted with someone, you can probably see, is this right? You can probably see in their kind of online presence, you can see which bits are working, which bits, like if they have this little connection from this hyperlink from here to here, it would allow this flow to happen that could help them to be better seen. And
exactly, because I really want people to have fair access to everything. For me, that's a really strong motivation for fairness and for people to be able to not just survive but thrive and have time to learn and, you know, work on their emotion, have time to heal. So for that, they need to have the work bringing the money, and they need to have peace of mind. So for me, apps and tech and the internet, that gives this if you set it up properly, because you can waste
so if you've got it
by
set up properly, then things can flow. People
exactly
can reclaim the time to do their inner work, to do their healing, to whatever they need to do.
Because
by making money
imagine
efficiently.
You are a coach and you want to have clients to book you to pay their session. If you don't have your tech set up, you have lots of back and forth to decide when you can have your call, and then you need to send your details to pay, and there's so much.
So you can see,
around.
Your superpower is you can see where people have blockages that are impeding the flow, that are stopping people from being able to really just have things flow more easily.
And sometimes as well, because I'm the one who's always Googling and looking for stuff, I know how people can do that as well. So for example, I started having those kind of virtual tea stuff on Skype, and being me, obviously, even if it's just like to get to know someone in a friendly Facebook group, I'm going to have a sneak peek at their website. And then they talk to me, and sometimes I'm like, hold on a minute, you're telling me you want to be speaking as a TED talk and do speaking stuff. There's no speaking page on your website. Like, people won't know if you don't tell. So it's not, it's quite funny. And since I've been in the Projector group, I'm just laughing regularly. I'm like, oh, I can't tell them, but I really want to tell them. I just shouldn't say. It's like, okay, it's fine to wait for an invitation, but you need to be open to get the invitation.
Let's put this out there. Let's do this. Let's say this. So chances are, if someone has a desire to get something done in life with social media, with some tech, chances are, unless they've had it all optimized, and even if they've had it all optimized, chances are that Pascale can probably see some things that could make it a lot easier. Now, I experienced this earlier on, that could allow things to flow, allow more abundance, allow people to connect with the right people. And often it could be a very, very simple thing.
Yeah,
or a few simple things.
It's links, like the image I've got, I have to share because I was just giggling on my own with that. But, you know, it's like, okay, we need to wait for the invitation. Fair enough. But imagine someone wants to invite you. So they ring at the door and they knock on the door and you're like, I'm not opening because you should be opening the door. And for me, when I'm just
waiting for my invitation.
Yeah, it's like, but he's inviting you, but he's got no clue if you're in or not. Everything is closed. Your windows are closed, and he doesn't even know if you're in or not, if you're there for that or not. So for me, it's really being available to be invited and to be showing that you're ready to receive as well. And receiving is something I wasn't able to do before. And I've met fantastic people who've been teaching me how to receive, which I think is super, super important as a projectors. If you can't receive, you can't be a projector in success, because we receive invitation, we receive money, we receive, like, we need to embrace it and be at ease with it. And to be able to receive, you need to be able to open your hands. You can't be like this. So for me, when I see an online presence that hasn't got the links to the correct page, or, you know, it's like I see people who are like this instead of being like, yeah, that's how I see it. So
well, you have that channel of structuring, you have that superpower of being able to see the projector thing. So, you know, it's going to be really interesting seeing how this unfolds for you, and seeing how you know, just knowing that you have this superpower. And that's what I love about projectors. And you're right, a lot of us are hiding, you know, a lot of us are hiding.
And it's really funny because
I can see, seen, but we're hiding.
Yeah, there's a huge pain of not being seen or recognized. Right. And I don't know if it's like to protect yourself, that, you know, people don't put the links out, or, you know, if you don't put it out there, you can't feel the pain of not having people going there. Maybe a sense of protection. But
yeah, I mean, I also feel that it's a thing of timing as well, and that it's kind of like, you know, we might think we're ready to go and put our work out into the world, but maybe it's not the time just yet. And the beautiful thing about waiting is, like, I'm a classic example. Like, I think I want to be out there doing a whole load of things I'm not doing yet, but, you know, and I could get in my head and kind of try and hire the right people, but blah, blah. But actually, you said to me earlier, oh, Dunstan, if you do this thing on here, that'll help. So I did it. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like there's that patience again. And it's going to be really cool to see how this all unfolds.
Yeah, I'm really, I'm really happy about having more awareness and clarity on, you know, what's different, and seeing everybody's so gifted in the group, but so randomly different. Yes. And, you know, I realized that people are really against the rules, which before I couldn't understand. Now, you know, I was really wired, like, no, but that's this and that. But some people have been challenging my intensity on that. And now I'm like, oh, so maybe they have actually a reason they need to challenge us, because that's kind of how things are alive and moving. You know, there's a balance. There's life in the movement. You and I
both have the gate of revolution. So, you know, and our friend Gary Vaynerchuk as well.
Yeah, so we can appreciate that. But now I understand that if we had only one type of projector, everything would be stiff and not lifelike. You need to have counterbalance to grow, and to be challenged and to grow and to be aware of stuff. Yeah, totally. So it's just like a human workout, being around everybody in the sharing experiments and challenging each other. I love that. I really love it. 48.1.
So I'm gonna full disclosure, I am starting to feel that I'm flagging, and I'm feeling like I'm just wondering if there's any other questions. I also have to go and put Dave's battery back in his boat because it's getting dark. He's got no batteries in his boat, so we're going to wrap up pretty soon. It's been really, really fun feeling the energy. You know, like anyone that says projectors never have any energy, there's been a lot of energy on this call, a lot of strong energy. And Pascale, it's been fantastic having you as a guest.
Oh, that's amazing to be here. Loved it.
And I personally love how much you and I have in common and how much we have different. You know, we have the same incarnation cross, the same freak to genius, but then I have another 4 different defined centers. I have my pressure centers. You have none of your pressure. You have your pressure centers totally open. So this is the experiment, and I don't have the answers, but I enjoy feeling how it is to hang with you and do things with you, and then some the same, some different. And that's with human design. We always have something in common with another human, and then we also have something that's totally different. And that's how we can learn. And this is the science of differentiation, as they call it, because we're all different. And that's just such a joy, rather than being homogenous and all having to be the same as each other.
And that's how we grow, and that's how we learn. And, you know, they keep saying, oh, projectors are here to learn and master and all that. But it's like, yeah, being in the thick of it with everybody and sharing, that's a great way to learn. That's why I love those chats, because everybody talk and you get, you know, you experience how it is to be
we've had
someone
Tom
else.
on today. We've had Tom sharing a lot, and Linda's a mental projector, and, you know, this is super cool. So yeah, thank you everyone. And as always, everyone's energy helps make this happen. So yeah, thank you everybody. And we continue the experiment, we continue the adventure, and I'm still looking for someone to help today with something. I don't think I've done that yet today. So, but maybe I'll catch someone later. So Pascale, wishing you the very best for your upcoming move to Berlin, and we'll catch you real soon.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fine, because for Berlin, I've got invitations.
Ah, good.
Yay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. See you in the group.
Awesome. Well, we'll wrap it up there.
Cool.